All right, let's go way down under and see if we can find something that, pertains to ancient. So where is this? Well, it's down here in southern or southwest Australia and Mari and area, and it's this figure of a bird-headed guy or a stick. You can even see it from space, way out here in the middle of Australia, in the middle of nowhere, out in dust flat. One day back in 1998, a remote pilot that was flying along, flying through desert canyons and stuff, sightseeing and looking around, ended up running into this figure of this 2 mile long guy. And so they've taken and gone back out there into the wild and looked for this thing, and they still don't know who did this thing. But it has the most odd looking reaction. It has somebody with their arm cocked back. They're facing this way, facing that way, and they've got their arm cocked back and their other arm cocked back, almost in a pitcher, fixing to throw a ball. And they have the stick. Now, these throwing sticks that would have held a spear on it, like it would have held a spear like this, and they use it to help throw the spear. It's probably what this thing originally had on it, was some type of throwing stick. But he's naked, and they say it may be some kind of bird-headed thing, but to me it looks like his hair is cocked back, and he's got it scraped back and pulled back into a knot. And then he's doing a throwing stick type thing. The thing that I really want to know is, what's he aiming at over here? Is there anything else that he might be showing somebody? But this thing is 2 miles tall. It is the largest drawing, effigy, anything that means anything on the planet. Another interesting fact is, anytime you see a hunter like this, is you've got to say that it looks somewhat like Orion, and this does look like Orion in even stature and stuff. I don't have the software to throw them over the top of each other, but it fits pretty much inside of it, looking at each other with the dots and how they line up with his feet. But he'd be missing the idea of having either the shield here or the sword, that's normally in front of him and everything off of it. But if you flipped him the other way, say he was facing the other way, then this right here would actually be facing out to Taurus, the bull, and one of the stars of Taurus. I'll have to look into exactly which one that is, but I believe it runs right into the Taurid system. So, okay, it does look like it points to something. If you were to take the idea and basically say that we're going to ignore the actual what his back arm is doing, like holding up in the air right now and splitting in a V. It's running out the side of the screen, but we're going to ignore that. That's going to be his hand that's held forward. And the idea is that the shield that's shown right here, right there, is not going to be used. And we're going to take this star that's right up here and connect out to that dot. You can see that one right there. I'm barely covering up right there. Okay, hopefully you can see this. If I did that from where his straight line comes out right here and did it through there, it would come out, and it comes real close to the Pleiades. It actually runs a little shy of the Pleiades. Just under it, it would hit like the E of the Pleiades. It also runs right through Aldebaran and that little triad that is the head and nose of the bull of Taurus. So, very interesting. I'm going to taste this space picture that they've got here. And, okay, so this is neat too. This was taken in the middle of reconstructing it, that they could see it easily. They flew over it quite a few times and could see it easily. And so they used, one of the first times they used drone technology, and they actually even had one helicopter help them, supposedly, all of this. They took Aborigines back out there and had them, and they said what they were doing was they were turning the stones. And so what they did was they joined hands and walked around this whole thing, this whole figure here, twice, and then they stopped. And in doing so, it remarked it out. But whenever they did so, they knew that they were going to have a picture taken from space and other pictures of it for everybody to be oohing and awing over. And so they didn't do the ding ding area, and they didn't do the chest and the rib cage that they could already see whenever they had run the drones over the top of it. And they finished it off later with the cap cowling, and that's why right now it looks like a bird, but it looks like a bird pointing to your right. But if you look at the stance of it, it's really a man. Picture a new modern kid with his cap turned on backwards and he's turned left, about to throw that stick to your left, right out to the corner of the screen down there. Yeah, he's going to throw it that way. That's the stature. You don't do it the other way. But regardless of that, you have to realize that he may be throwing a throwing stick down to your left someplace. We need to look where that's going to be. Really at about this angle here, you'd probably find something. That's the angle he'd be throwing something on right there. So if we were to look there, and I don't think it's right in front of him right here either. I think it would be a target, an actual target that would be perhaps the next two mountain ranges over, or next mountain range over, and that's what he's trying to kill there. Or is this really the representation of Orion, and this is pointing up towards the bull? And what's actually happening here is this is a recreation of whenever the Canaanite god El had gotten killed or trampled in the ancient Gnosis. They talk about him as being trampled by a wild beast or a creature. Well, that wild beast could easily have been Taurus, and you can see that that's also in the zodiac, where it looks like the bull, if you face him this way and do this with it, leave the shield out of the idea, don't turn him that way, turn him this way, and you'll end up with basically where he got trampled and killed. And that started the whole mythology of things, of gods and what happened, I guess. Now, there's stories about El. El got trampled by a bull, and El could have also been snatched by a crocodile. But you think if he was stretched, and there's the story of Yams, the sea god, and all that, Leviathan, and people have tried to equate it to that. But you think the regular telling would have it to where you would have some type of sea motif going on with it, and they don't describe that. They talk about him being out hunting one day, and he gets trampled and killed by a giant mean beast. I always took it to probably end up being a rhinoceros, an elephant, something along that line is what I thought. Like the unicorn is really the one-horned rhinoceros, but no, it easily could have been a large wildebeest bull. And if he tried to hunt and stick one of them, and he's out there hunting and sticking one of them, and another one comes and just runs him over, there's not much hope. There's no rodeo clown back in that day. And that easily could be where the story comes from.